It's easy to get caught out by the complexity of the design that we're creating, but I promise you that if you're careful about the design that you create, it gives you a lot of control over the layout that you're producing. Now we want to put our controls, which are going to be here, inside this grid. So there's the closing tag of this grid. So before there is where we're going to put all of our controls. Now what I like to do, if it's a really complicated design, is I like to put a comment in saying what's going to be there, because it helps me with the control of what I've got to do and tracking what I need to do. So you may have seen what I did with a comment there. I'll just do it again. So it's the less than symbol, an exclamation mark and 2 dashes. Less than, exclamation mark, 2 dashes and tab. I like to put a double space in there. So this is going to be the title row, and so forth. Now what I like to also do is make sure that we reference which part of the grid it belongs to. So row index 0 col span 2. I'm going to go right across both these columns, but I'm going to put it in row 0. So I'm going to put in the other comments here, and just so that you don't have to watch me type them, I'll just put them in and pick it up again in the video. So I've put the comments in. So title row goes in index 0, which remember I said they're all 0 index. The forename in row 1 and row 2 and row 3 and row 4 and row 5. You'll notice I put a separator row. I do this quite a lot. Never use it. Well, I rarely use it, sorry. But it's just that little bit of a safety net in case things go wrong and you have to add something in. So, and it's really easy to use that because it's there. So that's what we've got to do. Now, let me just look at our diagram again. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put each one of the things as a set. So that's the title, that's the forename set, that's the surname set, that's the key string set, and that's the button set. And what I'm going to do is put each set inside a stack panel. That means that, for example, it doesn't matter here, but here the forename will go above the text box. So the text block will go above the text box, and that's really useful for control. So let me put that title in, and I put it in here, and as I said, I'm going to put everything inside stack panels. Unnecessarily, some people would say, but I can get control over what happens of everything inside the stack panel now. So regardless of what I do, I can control the whole lot that goes inside here. So I'm going to say here, grid dot, and look at the options. That's the one I want. Column span is 2. So that's going to go across both of our columns there. Now what I'm going to put in here is a text block, tab, and just to show you I can do that, and I can put styling in here. So styling can be applied at the different layers. So I'm going to put enter user data, and you can see it's starting to pick up here on the left hand side where you start to see our controls. So that should be reassuring that we haven't actually broken anything. Right, so what I want to do now is I want to use the first of our styles. Do you remember our styles? We had a style which was for the header, and here's all of the things that we want to do. We want to have a horizontal alignment center in the screen, font size big, 36. We've specified the font. We've said it's got to be bold. I've set a color up of teal. Isn't that a lovely color? Then I've put some margins around the text. So that's what I want to do here. So this is for a text block. It targets a particular type of control. We give it a name so that we can call it, and then we say for all of these text block properties, here's what we want them to be. So it's a really, really quick way of making multiple styles. Now I'm hoping this doesn't let me down, particularly where we've got this problem with the .NET Core. It seems to be a little bit random how it happens, but you may see a blue wavy underline. I hope that if you've done .NET Framework, you won't see that. So just before that closing part of the text block, open on tag, that's where we put the property alterations, right? Now I could do all of those things that you saw inside the style in here. I could set the font, I could set the font weight, I could set the spacing, or set the margins, and I could do that just here. But what I can do now is style equals, and it gives me the quotation marks, and then put curly braces, static resource, page header style. Okay, so I now got that. Now unfortunately you're not going to see the changes here, but what I want to do is just to reassure you that everything's okay by saving all, build solution, and running. And there we got it. Now there's our style applied. I'm really sorry that it's not going to be visible in the editor, but you can see that the effect is there. We're getting exactly what we want. Right, so we're going to do the next control. So let me just take some of that space out there. I just gave you that just so that it doesn't distract you. We're going to do the forename set. Now for the forename, we wanted a text block and a text box. These two things here. So let's create those, and we're going to use another stack panel. Of course, you will cry. So, stack panel. Close it. Now, we've got a problem. It's immediately put it inside the default row, which is row 0. So I now have to tell it where I need it to be. Grid.row equals 1. It's now, you can just see it started to appear there. And I can now do two, and it's gone across the two rows. And I'm going to add another couple of properties in here which don't really have to be added, I think, because of this, but I want to add them just to show you what to do. So I'm going to say grid dot column is 0, and that's the column it starts in. So this is the first one on the left, that's column 0. And if I wanted it to start over in this next column, I would put column 1. Now I'm just going to put a little margin around there just to show you I can now apply styles here too, not just to text items or not just to labels or text blocks. And I want to do a little bit of a margin styles. So the way in which the styles go, it's left, top, right, bottom. But I can do left and right at the same time. 0, I don't want a margin on the left and the right, but I want 10 top and bottom. Did you see how that changed there? So I've now got my stack panel, and I can now put my controls in here, knowing that this is all controlled by the stack panel's positioning. Now if I wanted to move all of this control set into a different row, I just simply change the row number and everything goes. Don't have to change anything else, don't have to rewrite anything else. And that's one of the great benefits of doing this layered approach. So I want to have a text block. And I've got that text block. I want it to say forename. Okay. And what I want to do is I want to give that a style. Control label style. Okay. Right, I want to also do a text box. Okay. And I want this text box to have nothing in it. Now I could have closed it, but my text box does need some things set. I want it to have a style. Curly brace. Value text box. It wasn't that clever. It knows we're in a text box, so it only offers the thing I can do with a text box which are related in those styles. And I've now got my text box style. Now what did that style do? So for the label, which is the control label style, kind of usual stuff. I've just set slightly different things to the header, smaller really. But in the text box, what I've said is I want the font of the text to be 14. I want the margin around it to be 10. And I want padding. Now padding pushes the content inside the control, away from its edges. And you'll see what happens when we get this. So there's our control. Now notice that if I type in here, I'm getting the things I expect to see, but it's pushed in from the edge of the control by 5 and pushed down from the edge at the top and the bottom by 10. Really quick styling. Right, so let's do one last thing with our text box, which we need to do because our text box is going to hold data that we need to use. So we have to give it a name. Simple as that. So we do X, which is the namespace that we're going to use. So X colon equals and that's the style you should use. Pascal case for name text box. Right, so I'm going to do the next one. Now if you remember, what we have to do for the next one is we're going to put the control set in for surname. Now look, that's the same as this one, and in fact this one's the same as the other two. So maybe we can do some sneaky stuff here and just do what we've already got and change the values. Right, so I said I'm putting everything inside a stat panel, so I'll copy that stat panel, Control C to copy it, Control V to paste it, and instead of grid row 1, 2. So we've got this second text box here in label or text block. So now what we need to do is change the text block content, surname, and we can't have two controls the same name, so it doesn't like that very much. Surname text box, and we've now got those. Let's just check what we've got. And there's our two controls. So you can guess what we're going to do next for the key boxes. I'm going to copy the stat panel again. Now overwrites on this one, as you can see, you get a double overwriting. So this is going to be grid row 3. This is going to be key. And this is going to be user string text box. So you can see that very quickly, by using what we've got, we can copy styles and we get a consistency, not just in the way they're laid out, but by using those universal styles that we've already created, we've got an absolute guarantee of consistency and style across all of the controls. I'm going to add the buttons in here, and I'm thinking about splitting this out into a separate video, but that's all I've got left to do in this page. So if you don't really mind, I'm going to just soldier on in this video, make it really long, and finish the page off. Okay, what I've done is I've pasted the buttons in. No surprise, but what I've done is each one's got its own stack panel, and the button which is going to be used to clear is in column 0 of row 5 with a margin of 10 all round. That means if I put just 110, it just goes around left, top, right and bottom and does everything with a margin of 10. I've then put the button control in here, style with form button, which is one of the styles we've created, given it a name of clear button, given it the interface which is clear is the word that's going to be on the button. And then in stack panel 2, I've put in column 1, which is where it's going to be, of row 5, same row, different column, margin the same, static resource the same, styling, and so forth. So we've now got our form complete. So let's just run that up. I have to restart it, sadly. And there's our form, beautifully styled because we took the effort to do things in advance.